Welcome back to the Figure Kit Garage, fellow kit builders and resin heads. This is Brent Krug once again with another review video. Tonight, thanks to the help of Paul Gill, Jeff Yeager, and Mark Van Tine, we're going to complete what I have come to call the Logan hat trick. Early last year, Paul had made it known he was going to be doing a series of busts based off of Logan. And the first of these busts, which like many others, I jumped at the pre-order as quick as I could and was not disappointed. I'm going to bring him out. I have all three of the busts in the series out here tonight, and I'm going to show them off one at a time. And the first one, the old man himself, Logan. This kit comes in 7 parts, 3 resin claws, arm, body, base, and the tree branch crucifix that was at his gravesite at the end of the film. The base and bust were done by Jeff Yeager all together. Jeff did a phenomenal job of nailing this likeness of a weary and near the end of his life Logan, thanks to the metal in his body basically killing his healing factor. The base itself, rather simple, not too overdone or underdone, just really nicely fits with this bust altogether. The outfit, tattered and torn, and this is the outfit that, like myself, a whole bunch of people had been wishing for 17 years that this actor had portrayed the character that he would have worn at least once in the films, and unfortunately, that never came to pass. So it was done as a part of the base to show that the outfit had been tattered, torn, and basically unused and discarded. The crucifix itself, like we see at his gravesite, was originally standing straight up, and then Laura turns it down into the shape of an X, showing at one time the group he had been a part of. And just nicely done all the way around. Jeff kept it pretty straight and simple, but sells it really, really nicely all the way around. Jeff's likeness to this character really, really stands out. All the scarring sculpted into the cheekbones, the temple, the upper part of the forehead by the hairline, done really, really nicely. The hair and beard detail, Jeff has a way of sculpting hair that is just nuts. Sometimes drives me a little bit crazy to get all the seam lines gone, but the suit jacket, the shirt, really, really executed nicely. This bust pretty much sells itself as it is. For me, there's no second guessing. I would definitely want it in on this one. Originally, this kit had come with 3 resin blades, and I opted to go with a set of aluminum replacement blades that were fabricated by Brian Rodriguez. And Brian did an amazing job of getting these to me as fast as he possibly could. I think it took like a week to fabricate them and get them to me in the mail. I know his work schedule at the time was busy, but he got them to me as fast as he could. And the blade replacements themselves ran about 30 bucks, which for aluminum blades really is not that bad. It could have been way more expensive. But this bust was just unreal. The first of the 3, and you can't ask for better than that. Pose was perfect. The look in the face was done just right. Jeff, my hat's off to you. Your likenesses have always been fantastic, and this is no exception. Paul's casting on this was absolutely excellent. Little putty work on the seam line of the right arm, but that was almost negligent altogether. Perfect bust, for this character. I got him in August of 2017 after waiting for just a few months, but the wait was definitely worth it, as you can tell. The second bust in this series was to be Logan's cloned daughter, Laura, or as it showed in her medical file, X23. And this time the bust was done by Jeff Yeager and the base was sculpted by Mark Van Tine. And the base really sells this kit as well. As you can tell, nice rock terrain base with the X logo carved into it or out of it, with the number 23 scratched into it, supposedly by her little claws. Mark really did an excellent job with all the detail and the way that he did this. I'll turn her around here so you guys can see it a little bit better. For what he had planned out, he executed this base rather nicely. Really goes well with her, right down to the little doll sculpted onto the base, ripped open across the stomach. And I think one of the surprising things about the base that Mark did, there's a little bolt slash screw. You can kind of see it right there. It looked like Mark had just tapped and died that thing right on the spot. And I was really impressed with it. It blew my mind how well he thought that out. Little gears, pipes, little objects sticking out of the rock and the dirt. Really nicely done. So my hat's off to Mark for that one. And then we get to the likeness of her, and Jeff beautifully nailed this young actress's likeness in every possible way. And I'll bring her closer. You know, nice snarl, ready for a fight. Being Logan's cloned daughter, she should be. The stitching in the jacket, really, really nice, paying attention to detail. And yeah, I hand painted every single one of those stitches. It took me well over an hour to do. Just excellent all the way around. The hair detail, second to none again, just like Mr. Yeager does. And just all around beautiful. This one as well came with a set of 2 resin blades for her left hand. And I opted again to go with a set of aluminum replacements done again by Brian Rodriguez. And the purchase was justified. They fit really well. No modifications needed at all to go into the 2 keyed slots in her left hand. This bust was in 5 pieces, and again, it sells itself by far and large. You couldn't have asked for a better way to do this particular character. The comic book I added on my own. I'd searched for hours on the internet because this is something I wanted to do, looking for hours and hours trying to find the comic book that was used. And I found out that that particular comic was a one-off done specifically for Logan. It was not available in stores. And when I finally did locate the actual pages used on Google search, I copied them to my computer, shrunk them down in size, printed them out, glued them together, and partially rolled them and placed them up underneath her. Because to me that really goes with the base. That's their way of finding their sanctuary up north for her and the rest of the kids like her that were experimented on. Sadly, she was a part of that, and I thought that was a real nice way to add on to that, and it looks good to me. I love it. I'm proud of it. So that's number 2. And now we move on to the third and final piece in this set. And this one I've been anxiously awaiting for since January. Had it pre-ordered, paid for right around mid-January, and I didn't care about the weight. I really didn't, because what Paul had in mind was something that really would tie this up together nicely. And I'm going to start off with the base, because this base sells this kit as much as the bust itself does. And we're going to begin, and this base was done by Mark Van Tine, who really pulled this off beautifully. And this base is centered up with, and you can see the nameplate from the front of the school, broken, shattered, bent and warped on the front. I'll give it a little bit more of a turnaround here. The photo that Paul had posted quite a while ago of this plaque, I was blown away by how really beautifully this had been done. Mark did his homework on this one. I can't deny that. And as we turn the base to the side here, we see the ruby quartz visor of Mr. Summers buried in the dirt or gravel, what have you. I believe it's dirt, with a little bit of his skull sticking out. And around the back we have the three-clawed hand, mind you, of the teleporter himself, Mr. Wagner. Another unfortunate victim of what was called the Westchester incident. A little bit of his tail sticking out. And the Westchester incident was a reference to the school, multiple people being frozen in place, paralyzed by Charles through no fault of his own, having been stricken with both ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and Alzheimer's. And being the world's most powerful telepath, he was prone to what I've come to call telepathic or psychic seizures, which unfortunately the only survivor wound up being Logan because of his healing factor. So that base shows you exactly what became of his school and the students within. Really sad that not a single one of them survived. This bust is in 4 pieces. Base, these 2 hands, and this is the first part of the Jeff Yeager sculpt, showing the age of Charles X as he is in the film. I would have to determine mid to late 60s, possibly early 70s. And the base was casted by Paul. There are 0 seam lines on that base whatsoever. Excellent casting. These hands, mold lines on these hands are extremely minimal. He cleaned these up beautifully. As many people can attest to, Paul does his castings just excellent all the way around. And there's 2 little pegs for where those hands will fit, and the paintwork on that to get the aging to look correct. That's going to be a real challenge, but I'm looking forward to it. And then we come to the final piece of this bust, which is the man himself. And this bust was done by Jeff. This nails the likeness, who bears a striking resemblance to a certain starship captain that he portrayed on television for 7 years and in 4 separate films. Dead-on likeness. This is without a doubt the best likeness of him I've seen since the mid to late 1990s, of a starship captain that was done by Geometric Design. And this really could not have been any better. The age makeup that they used on him in Logan translated beautifully into this bust. Extremely minor mold lines. There's one behind the right ear. Almost none in the hair, which I absolutely love to death, because this is probably the only one I'll ever have where I don't have to worry about cleaning mold lines out of hair. Another little mold line behind the left ear, around the neck and the shirt. But other than that, Paul cleaned this up beautifully. Little minor itty bitty mold line, less than a minute and that'll be gone. But the rest of them, this casting is totally smooth. Excellent, excellent way that this was done. And I'm going to put him together, and these things fit in here tight enough to where you almost don't have to glue them, but I don't recommend it. Pop that in like that. And I will have to sand down the key for Charles just a little bit to get him to sit a little bit flatter, but that's no big deal. And there we have Charles X, urging you telepathically to buy this series of busts, as you can tell. Many thanks to Paul Gill, Jeff Yeager, and Mark Van Tine for making these busts possible. This is an excellent way to do this series in the order that it was done. Charles being the final character. Let me put these guys together. This is how I'm going to display them in my home, with Logan to his left. Turn the camera a little bit. And Laura to his immediate right. And there we have it. Hat trick complete. These busts were definitely worth the wait. Worth the price. Charles, at the time of pre-order, was around $90. Logan was the same, and I believe Laura was just a little bit more, if not the same. I cannot recall. But for fans of the comics as well as the movies, these busts are definitely worth having in your collection. Hands down. Can't say enough about them. Almost sad that the wait's over, but you can only do so many of these characters until you have to come to an end. And Charles, unfortunately, is the end. Or fortunately for all of us that got in on the pre-order waiting for him to come around. So, there you have it. Thank you again to Paul, Mark, and Jeff. You guys are excellent. You definitely got your ducks in a row. And this is the Figure Kit Garage. Signing off for the morning. It's 15 till 3 here in San Bernardino. I had to wait until it cooled down. We hit 118 degrees yesterday, and it still feels like it's in the mid to upper 80s at nearly 3 o'clock in the morning. So for those of you out on the West Coast dealing with the heat, stay hydrated, stay cool. There's a lot of fires going on out here as well as across the country. So for those of you in those areas, stay safe. Stay hydrated. Definitely stay hydrated. This is the Figure Kit Garage signing off. Thank you, everybody. Build a kit.